No, that's totally fine. And look, we've had lots of people excited to see you here and who are really, really looking forward to hearing from you. So I'm sure you're well worth the wait.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's very flattering, but yeah, hopefully I can deliver something worth value.
Well, look, we're going to dive straight into it, Jamie. Zimbabwe, that's where I want to start. Zimbabwe swimmer, Zimbabwe water polo player. How long ago was that?
Oh, years ago. I feel like a dinosaur when I talk about that now, but my schooling days, let's say if we put a date to it, 2005 to 2010, those were my sort of eras, even before 2005, junior school times. But yeah, moving towards high school, I think that was when I really got into my sport and try to, go as far as I can and participate at the highest level that I could.
And where did it all start for you? I know you said obviously it was in your schooling days, but where did it all start?
That's a good question. I think it was more of I just enjoyed swimming and got involved with the swimming club. Wasn't very good when I initially started, I'll be honest. And the coaches that I worked with just gave me the platform and continued on my athletic development and the pathway I was on, and ended up, trying to make something good out of, not this raw talent, but just more hard work, I guess.
And you mentioned hard work, you hear that come from a lot of athletes who've gone all of the way. And what do you think was instrumental for you to get to where you got to outside of hard work?
I definitely think it was a certain mindset. You have to shift your mindset towards a performance mindset. Like I lost out a lot on, maybe not say social activities, but like I would usually have very high level international meets on Friday nights, which means obviously couldn't see my friends. And Saturday it was all diving into the sporting side from a schooling perspective, but just shifting that mindset and being okay with being like, no, it's okay. Like I'm going after something that I really want. And yeah, I guess it's just a mindset shift. Being prepared to put in the work and being prepared to sacrifice those evenings, which most people would do going out casually and seeing their friends, and I had to become okay with that.
You say that you're not the first person who's come out and say that, and you talk about that mindset shift. It makes me jump into the next question I was hoping to ask you is, so you hold a master's degree and you talk about a mindset shift. You've gone from swimming in the pool to getting to a master's degree. How have you managed to get yourself that far?
Good question. I wasn't also a high level academic. Like I'll be quite frank about that. And again, like it was sort of my mindset around academics, and I only learned this moving into my high school, CBC in Bulawayo, and they sort of shifted my idea on academics, and this big thing of academics was foreign to me. Academics was like a foreign thing to me. Like I'd never been really exposed at a junior school level of the importance, but as moving into a high school sort of setup, CBC really sort of drove, my sort of dive into academics, and it just gave me the platform from a university level to get stuck in. And I had to make a decision of, look, like I've done all I can with regards to swimming, so let me dive into my academics. And surprisingly, shockingly, I went as far as masters. Hopefully a PhD in the pipeline when time is of essence, when I have a little bit more time. But yeah, so got my master's done. Wasn't easy, and like I said, I'm not the biggest academic out there. But yeah, again, this was a mindset shift and getting stuck in. Like at the end of the day, it's your future, and you have to just get to the nitty-gritties of what needs to be done.
100%. And you talk about something which on two fronts, or one on which you talk about a mindset shift. And earlier, while you're away, we were telling the viewers about our mindset development tool that we've put together on the website that's available for use. And it shows how important that element is. But on the other hand, you talk about an issue whereby, academics was never brought to the fore for you, but luckily you went to a good enough school and you had the support around you to drive you to get to that next level. And, how many athletes do you know who never got that support, and, where are they today?
Yeah, it's true. Like a lot of athletes fall through the gaps, and I wasn't it's difficult to say because a lot of athletes, like you mentioned, do fall through the cracks, and I sort of set myself up to not be one of those, because it's easy to just focus on athletic development and your athletic career, but everyone has a means to an end. Like you're not going to be a professional rugby player, you're not going to be a professional soccer player all your life. So what is the concession plan off the back of that? Like, what are you going to do to consolidate the rest of your life? If you're looking at a player longevity level, I mean, how many athletes make it past 35? Not many. Very few. There are some, but those are sort of what we take as outliers. But there has to be a concession plan, like what happens after. And again, it's to do with mindset. Like, it's all good and well being a high professional athlete and, the fame that's associated with it. But what happens, I have a very good friend that used to play for Kaizer Chiefs from Zimbabwe, Jimmy Jumbo. And now he got a horrifying knee injury at the peak of his career and had to retire. But luckily he had set up, he had the foundation to go into coaching. So now he's a high level coach at Kaizer Chiefs, and he had something to fall back on. Like, he had a good mindset around that as well. So it's just a couple of elements to it, I guess.
Yeah, not the ideal story, but I'm glad there is a happy ending to it, because there's many that don't have that happy ending. And you threw in Kaizer Chiefs there. You've been there. You've been in that setup. You've worked for South African football, and that is high performance, And for you to get there, what did it take for you to get to that point where you're now with a Kaizer Chiefs, and where you are today as well now with Kitman Labs?
It's a good question, but I still don't see myself as a top level practitioner within sporting institution. There's a lot to learn, and literally the learning never stops. And I think I'll continue to learn till I'm dead, basically. But it's about that. It's just trying to accept, responsibility on, you need to get a job done, but having the mindset that it's okay sometimes to make mistakes. As long as you come back from the mistakes, you learn from them, and take every opportunity with open hands, and try, always have an open heart, and always be clear. So set yourself with clear objectives, what you want to do, and most importantly, why you want to do it. And part of the reason that I wanted to work for Kaizer Chiefs is a lot of there's a lot of issues economically within African countries, and my way of sort of helping those sort of youth athletes that are having problems, there's nothing better for me, and I still miss it today, is seeing a youth athlete come in with absolutely nothing, giving him the platform to shine, and seeing him make it at the highest level. I don't think there's any sort of a greater good, and that's why I took the job at Chiefs, is to help athletes through that process.
You talk about that, and that is actually hats off to you. That's not what a lot of people are thinking. Everyone's sort of engrossed in getting their side done and ticking boxes on their end. But to hear someone who's passionate about what they're doing and what they want to drive, that really excites me. And there is hope out there, and it's great to know that there's people like yourself. And how do you see yourself contributing to South Africa, Zimbabwean, and African sport as a whole going forward?
I'm working in Europe, so it's a bit of a difficult question, but I have finished a book that I'm scheduled to sort of self-publicate now. And the idea around this book was, to have a self-help book. Like I said, being an African, and there's multiple challenges that come with finances, but a lot of people find their passion within sport, and how they, especially sport coaching, to be honest, and move on. If they can't make it as an athlete, they move into sport coaching, and that's a big passion of a lot of people. And my idea I'd set up with this book was to give those, what I've learned through university, my coaching experience, and practicing at Kaiser Chiefs in South Africa was to give them the platform and them the tools to learn, like just a self-help manual, so they can sort of get an insight. And like I said, because maybe they weren't able to attend a tertiary level education, so writing up a book, making sure they pick it up and it adds value to them. And I wrote the book not to make a profit, so whatever I get for the book, it will go towards what you pay for the paper, basically. So no profit, but just a way of me trying to give back and giving opportunity to as many people as they can if they have trouble going to university or anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an inspiration Jamie Schultz is. Jamie's gone out, he's acquired knowledge, and now he's at a point where he wants to share that knowledge. He wants to impart that knowledge on fellow Africans especially. And you heard it here first. He's got his book to be published very soon, and make sure you get your hands on it. And Jamie, while we are there, where can someone access this book?
It'll be on all the platforms, Google, Amazon, bookstores, or you can just drop me a mail. Like I'll release more information as it comes to the publication, closer to the publication, but shouldn't be far off from an ebook, or just dropping me a mail and then through that distribution facility. But yeah, I'm already having a little bit of talks with some guys in Ghana just to help them out as well, Ghana and Ethiopia. So they're also having the same challenges, and they've never seen sort of something in this light, because it's also in an African context as well, because we have our own challenges and our athletes are not the same. As much as you like them, I know we're human beings, but physiologically we're different, and we need our own performance model that drives success within our own continent.
I love it, Jamie. I absolutely love it. I walk into these conversations every week, and I think, I don't write up all my questions. I love a conversation just like we are having now. And you've spoken about the African context, which a lot of people don't really understand, because it's a whole vast, it's different challenges altogether. And that's what we've come to see. And at Africa Sports Consultancy, that's what we are also trying to drive, is we are trying to say, we know what African challenges are. When you tell someone about access to facilities or someone not having boots, it's foreign to them, and we know what those issues are at heart. And just while we are there, I have multiple questions that have just sprung up in my head. But the first one I'd like to ask you. So you've been at Kaiser Chiefs, you're now in Europe, you know the African context. What sets us apart? What makes the African athlete not attain those high levels in comparison to the European athlete?
Off the back of it, it's not solid or concrete, but it's a hypothesis. But I think people mirror or try image what's going on in Europe. And like I said, we're not different. Africans are a little bit different. We have our own challenges. We have our own upbringing. It's completely different to what's happening overseas, especially Europe and America. And you don't see sort of the challenges that pipe up. So small thing in Zimbabwe, South Africa, you can't jump on a train, or you have to get a taxi, which takes long and it's usually expensive. Here in Europe, you jump on a bus that's very low cost if you can't make it to training. So small things like that. So there's a lot of problems within Africa, but they are solvable if you give them the right tools, of course, which cannot mirror what's happening in Europe or America or anywhere else, because they're completely different. So you can't use a model that they use in Europe or America within an African context, in my opinion. You have to tailor that to what's happening for us and make something worthwhile for Africans, because I think most of the talent does come from Africa, 100%. Like everything, Africans have everything, and it's shown like on some of the best world cases, and it's just about giving them those tools, I guess.
100%. And so, you speak about those challenges. You spoke about the transport. there was a few articles written before. You look in South Africa with cricket, the struggle to produce Black African batters. You see, you have Temba Bavuma standing out, but to getting there for a young African player to get to training, do they have transport? Do they have means? That bag is heavy. So, we can have a long conversation about that. But, your specialty as someone in sports science, Africans have this athletic ability. And what's holding us back from, again, getting to that next level?
Oh, like I said, it's a magnitude of reasons. Like, you can't really zone in on one, but like I said, that we have our own problems in Africa, and I'll share with you some. Like, had some youth athletes come into Kaizer Chiefs, and some may or may have not eaten the whole day. So how do you expect them to do a 2-hour training session without eating anything? And it's just a problem. Like, how do you facilitate good recovery? How do you facilitate good adaptations if you're not eating or getting the right tools? And there's also the science around it. Like, you get athletes that grow and have the growth spurt. That usually happens later in Africans because of the multiple reasons that I spoke about. Could be nutrition, could be anything. No one's really done a scientific study on it, but those are my challenges, is having these African problems, if you can say, and just trying to give the athletes tools and how to mitigate these small cracks, basically.
That's brilliant. There's hope. There's hope for Africa. We have Jamie Schultz, so there is definitely hope. And look, I'm looking forward to what you're going to do with your PhD, because I can hear already there's so much value that you want to add on. Now, I want to just step away from the African context. You've rubbed shoulders with some top athletes. You've worked with high performers. What sets them apart from your day-to-day and average athlete?
It's a good question, because I can't put my finger on it, but it would just be really good youth development structures. So what they have been taught throughout their athletic development journey, I think a portion of their mindset, and how they discipline themselves on an individual level. So there's multiple sort of contextual things to what makes an elite athlete, and those are 3 big ones that I think contribute to a high level athlete.
Phew, a lot of learning we have to take in here tonight. But look, it's great that we have Jamie here. If you've just tuned in, we've got Jamie Schultz here with us tonight, a master's to be and a PhD student to be, who's looking at sport development and the science within an African context, which is what excites us here at Africa Sports Consultancy. And you keep banging on about mindset. I love it. And, I'd love to pick your brain more about that. And, we've obviously got people watching and tuning in from different places. But Jamie, your role as a coach, your role as someone in the sports science field, how do you best empower an athlete to get to that next level? We take away the context and all of that. How do you manage that?
So there's 4 factors of performance. So 4 factors that highly contribute to athletic success, which is, if you're looking at from anything, it can be, I'm going to speak football specific because that's more my sort of area of expertise, but technical, tactical, physical, psychological, or social. Those are the 4 factors of performance. So each one of them obviously has subcategories to that, but physically condition your athletes correctly, get them technically sound. So can they cross a ball? Can they shoot? Tactically, how do you apply these in a tactical sense? And then again, psychologically, how have they developed their mindset? Are they focused? Are they concentrated? Are they disciplined? So those are the 4 factors of performance we look at when trying to mold a elite level athlete.
Tell you what, Jamie, I feel I could claim I'm a bit of an expert because we had a football scout a couple of weeks ago and he spoke about a 4-corner model. So and he mentioned those elements that you've spoken to. So look, it's just banging on at that. And, it's looking at an athlete holistically is very important, as you rightfully mentioned, that someone comes to training, you expect them to perform, but they're hungry, they haven't eaten all day. How do you expect them to actually perform? So it's nice to hear that there is research, there is knowledge which is going to be imparted by people like yourself to try and see how we can overcome some of these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can just at this point pop your questions in the chat. You got any questions for Jamie? Anything that you are keen to learn more about? We've got Jamie here. We can make use of it. We've got about 7 minutes to go, so can definitely make use of that. And Jamie, while everyone types up, their questions, there's a question that I always feel like I have to ask. So, how can a young boy or a young girl from Bulawayo or somewhere in Africa reach the level that you have managed to reach now?
I think it's difficult because I like I said, I don't believe that I'm at a certain level at all. But I think just applying yourself where necessary and having sort of like a growth mindset where the learning never stops, and that comes across when you speak to people sometimes, and everyone can add value to a conversation. And I've come in here and learned something from you, and I think there's the devil's in the detail, I guess, where if you apply yourself correctly and treat people with respect, have the right mindset and just pure hard work, I think that will sort of result in any sort of success. And although my journey is my journey, but it might not be the same for others, but along the way you'll meet good people and they will help you out. It's just a case of reaching out and getting in touch.
And while we wait for the people to drop in their questions, I love how humble you are, and I love how you keep saying that you haven't reached the level that you feel that you can attain and you're on a journey. So while everyone types in their questions, what can we expect from you in the years to come, and where would you say that you have arrived?
In the next, let's say 5, maybe 10 years, I'm going to stick with where I'm at the moment. Kidman Labs, sort of an area that's more of interest to me at the moment, or has been of bigger interest to me, and sort of around data and the use cases of data and how we can better inform decisions based off what data we collect. How can we mitigate injury risk? How can we better streamline organizations to manage the athletes at the highest level? How do we get interdepartmental communication? How do we streamline processes? How do we streamline workflows? How do we get the best out of the athlete with minimal input? And that's my focus for the next 5 to 10 years is with the company I'm at the moment. An incredibly passionate group of individuals that have gotten together, very knowledgeable as well. And like I said, I've accepted the job with open hands, and I am here to learn and add what little I can to the organization.
Fantastic. I'm just looking here at, I always have to juggle around. I'm looking at the Facebook chat, I'm checking the Zoom, who else has joined, and you see I'm looking at one question here that says, what advice do you have for any young aspiring athletes?
If you're young, there's time, so you have time to develop. But like I said, just apply yourself, have the right mentality, be willing to sacrifice, those nights with your friends. Listen to your parents, because they always know what's best for you. They'll always guide you. Go to school, try get good grades. And just at the end of the day, it is just hard work. Hard work at the end of the day always, makes the dream come true.
Well, listen to your parents. That's one that we've all got to remind ourselves of now and again. And, you do say go to school, go and learn. And I love how you've also brought that in, that element of continuous learning. And from what I'm getting from you, learning is not only from sitting in a classroom, and you said that you continuously want to learn and aspired to learn, which is inspirational. And I always sit here and I'm in awe and keep taking notes and can see why you've gotten to where you've gotten to. And I have no doubt that you will get to the destination that you keep talking about. I'm looking here again on the chat. Always juggling around all these devices. But look, it's really exciting. The space you're in and actually sitting here and hearing from you what all your plans are it's mind-blowing. And to know that there's so many people interested in the lives of African athletes and want to do something in that space is a real inspiration. Yeah, another question that's just come up here. Who was your favorite Kaizer Chiefs player? You're gonna make enemies, yeah. I hope not.
I won't make enemies. I've always said this, but my favorite Kaizer Chiefs players are, the more modern type players. I'm gonna go with Zimbabweans like Knowledge Musona, Kama Billiat, Bullet Katsande, Jimmy Jumbo. He was one of my favorite ones. I worked with Coach Arthur Zwane. I thought also he was a fantastic player, and I got the opportunity to work with him. Yeye Letsonyane as well, top level athlete, still going today. He's one of my favorite. Shaba, Simpiwe Shabalala, Itu Kune. There's multiple, but I don't want to make favorites because it's not good. But now that I'm not at Chiefs, it's fine.
You played that pretty well. You played that very well, actually, and you're not going to lose any friends. So you can't blame me for anything. But Jamie, look, it's been great chatting, and thank you so much for making time for this. And I know how hectic your schedule is, but you've made time, and there's so much value in what you've said. And I really can't wait to see how far you will go. And definitely, I'm sure some of the people involved with us will be reaching out to you and seeing what other nuggets we can pick out from you.
Oh, no worries, and just a big thank you from you. I'm very humbled to come on and speak to you today. Yeah, schedule allowing, of course, but yeah, thank you. It was a privilege for me to come on and have a chat with you today. So just like to thank you and everyone who's watched, of course.
Jamie, thank you very much. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts.
No closing thoughts. I think I've said a lot, and I think probably people are getting tired of listening to me, but not really closing thoughts for me. But like as you mentioned, like I'm always available to interact and just message away. So that's not a problem.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Jamie Schultz. He was here with us. He's at Kitman Labs now in the UK, and he's a trailblazer. He's made a path for himself, and as you've heard, he wants to make a path for other African athletes, and he's looking at it from an African context, which is fantastic. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight and for watching, for being patient with us, even though it hasn't been as planned. But again, let's keep looking after our loved ones. Let's remember that COVID is still a reality. Keep sanitizing our hands, and let's keep wearing our masks. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, same time, same place. See you then. From my side, it's good night. And cheers, Jamie.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.